Hello and welcome to Boats and Engines, and we start this episode with a problem. So this here is corroded right through, and because the water pump's actually in the engine, it can't suck up water. So that means there's a small chance that the boat's been overheated, and actually the outdrive was all full of, it was very blocked up with salt crystals. I ran some desalting agent through it and that's all clear now. This casting I believe is available. I probably could JB weld that, but it's a bit dodgy. There's no ring that's supposed to go in there, so I think I'm just going to replace this. I'll have a look at how much I can get one for. So yeah, I think the plan of action is we get water hooked up to this, and because we can go straight into that input pipe there with a hose and see if we can get it started. Right, plan of action. As that gimbal housing is going to take a while to get one, I am just going to change it. I think we're going to try and get it started. In order to do that, first of all I want to empty out that water fuel separator and just have a look at the fuel and see how much water's in it. Can you see that? It doesn't actually look bad. I don't know, I'll shake the boat a bit if there is water on the bottom of it, but I want to drain that down. Also, before I start it, I want to make sure this bilge blower is working. I think also this should have a bit of ducting actually going down into the bilges technically, but this isn't working. And I think when I tried it I saw the voltmeter dipped, which would kind of suggest that it's trying and it's seized. And yes, it is seized. So I think I was going to stick a multimeter on it and see if power is getting to it, but to be honest, if it's seized, that would suggest it's not working. So we'll take that off and maybe we can unstick it. If not, they're not hugely expensive, but if I can just mend it, I'd rather mend it than buy a new one. Right, so we'll whip that off and get it on the bench and have a look at it. Right, so here we have it. I don't have huge hopes for it. It's been leaving a trail of rust flakes. It's absolutely seized. I'll have a go at taking this apart. I'm not sure if I can film it. I'll just try turning the lights on, but I think it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna flicker. So I'll bring you back if I manage to get this apart. Right, so I hit these screws with an impact driver and they turned but didn't undo. I just managed to get my finger instead. However, that started, it's freed up. It's not perfect, but I stuck on the battery and appears to be working good. So what I think I'll do is I've just wire brushed this as best as I can. I'll put some rust converter on it, same with the bracket, and see if I've got some black spray paint just to neaten it up a little bit. Put it back in and I think we're good. Far from perfect, but alright from far. So looks a bit better. Certainly not flaking rust anywhere, and most importantly it works. So we'll get that stuck back in. I will solder and heat shrink the joint. Here we have a moment of truth. Blower switch. Yay. Working. Awesome. Now we'll have a look at that fuel. Right, I managed to get a bit of fuel out of that water separator. Good news is there's zero water in it. It doesn't look dirty. There is a bit of dirt from the soundproofing, which all got soaked. But it is a bit green, I guess because it's going through copper pipes. So I've just poured in 5 gallons of fresh petrol, and hopefully that will get it sorted. I'm going to leave it all to air for 20 minutes and run the blower for 10 minutes because it smells of fuel now, and obviously I don't want to explode. This is the setup I've got for cooling. In a minute when we try and start it, I'll switch it on at this tap here. I just run water to start off with, then I've got these anti-salt tablets. I put loads and loads in, loads more than you need. So once it's running, if we can get it up to temperature, thermostat opens, this stuff will clear it all out. I did try running it and no water was coming out of the exhaust. I don't know if that means there's a blockage or if the water pump needs to be spinning for it to come out, but we'll find out. Unfortunately, the blower motor has packed up again, so I've just left it to air for about half an hour. There's a nice breeze, so I think we'll be fine. It doesn't smell of petrol anymore. Got the water running. Let's give this a go. Trying, I'll just pump the throttle a couple of times. I presume it has an accelerator pump. Sounding pretty close. Right, I've got the flame arrestor off and we have a carburettor here. Please excuse me, I know nothing about American engines. It says Quadrajet on it, which I think I've heard of from Derek from Vice Grip Garage. What it did was it ran for the contents of a float bowl and then stopped. And now that's the accelerator pump. It doesn't sound like it's pumping anything now, it's just dry. So I guess that means the float's stuck up. That would make sense. Oh, shit. Sorry about my work, dropping tools everywhere. So somewhere on this, I guess there's a float bowl, and if I tap it, it might release it. I don't want to get into taking this apart because lots of little bits. I know that they're not very polite about the Quadrajet on a lot of American YouTube channels. Right, I'll start bashing on things gently-ish and come back if I can get a accelerator pumping. Right, update as to what I have found. The fuel's not actually getting to the carburettor, so it's not a stuck float bowl. It might just be down here. I figured out it's actually got a reserve and a main tank. I opened up the sender on the main tank because the sender's not working, so I switched it over to reserve, but now my starter got very slow and then stopped completely, so I'm going to whip the starter off, see if I can rebuild it. If not, we'll have to get a new one, but I think a Mercruiser one will probably fit, so that should be cheap, but we'll try and get the old one working first. I want to get this centre panel up so that I can flow coat it on both sides and do some sort of non-slip on the top. I've read about a technique where you sprinkle sugar over the wet flow coat and then wash off the sugar once the flow coat's dried, and it gives you a nice grippy pattern, hopefully. So I want to give that a go. First of all, we've got to get it up, and it's fairly well wedged in here, so I'll have a go at that. Also, I'd like to look at the fuel tank underneath and maybe get access just in case we do have to drain it. Star of the show. Oh. Free WD-40. So what's that? That's where it fills. This is a plastic tank. And this big tank. Oh, no. Why is there two tanks? I have no idea. What's that? That looks like... Is that aluminium or stainless? I think that's aluminium. Which is probably not good news, but... Okay. So the starter's off, and you can see by the state of it that's probably not worth bothering with. So I've ordered a new one. They're cheap. I just got a Mercruiser one, the same thing, just like a AC Delco small block shot starter. I think they're slightly different than marine ones because they're not supposed to spark or something. Here's the sugar coated floor panel. The gel coats, I want to leave it for another day or so before I wash it off, because I'm not entirely sure that it's dry yet. So, list of things that need doing. There's the fuel sender. I'll order one of those, then we can get that floor back on. There's the casting on the outdrive. I've got one on order coming from Japan. It was actually quite cheap, but it's well, it should be here next week for next video. And that starter motor, and obviously JB Weld the exhaust, and then I think we're mainly sorted on the boaty side of things. then we just got to sort the trailer before we can get it into the water. So not ideal, but there was bound to be problems, and there's actually nothing too expensive or major, which is good news. So I'm going to end this video here. Please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching, and bye bye.